Well, let's continue with the theme. Surajit Pal of Senior Research Analyst Prabhudas Lilladher joins us to discuss exactly the same impact of the possibilities of the US presidential poll outcome for pharma companies. Surajit, good to have you on the show. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Take us through what your broad view is. We've heard a lot of protectionist, a lot of commentary favoring the regulatory side for certain categories of drugs from Hillary Clinton, constantly speech after speech, debate after debate. Do you think the threat is real?
Yes, if you see that some of the drugs, the way the atrocious kind of price level increased in say since 2012-13 in many drugs, I think this when you see this kind of price raise happening, somehow or the other, the regulator or the government will intervene, which is normal. I mean, in any countries it will happen, be it capitalist or socialist, because none of the any countries will find following the same kind of ideology. But from social perspective, which has been increasing every day, government or social cost will increase if this kind of prices happen. So government will definitely intervene. So is the lawmaker.
All right, Surajit, my colleague Hiral, who tracks the space closely, also joins in. She has some questions for you.
Good morning, Surajit. So, talking about the kind of prices that even you have been mentioning currently, we know that India pharma companies have a real, a strong footing if you talk about where US markets are concerned. Do you think it's time to hit the panic button if you talk about, from the Indian pharma stock perspective then?
No, I don't think it will hit the panic button. Yes, it is not the trend of the whole industry. What we have seen is that very selected number of companies have got benefited because of their sheer presence in those drugs. So I think Taro or Sun Pharma will be the major beneficial of that price raise happening since 2012-13. I think few drugs also already got benefit. To a certain extent, I think Lupin has got benefit price rise. But the point is that price rise anyways is not crime, or any country is a crime. The thing is that whether you are leading or you are curtailing with that or not. So if it is proven in that fashion, then definitely it's a big problem for the individual companies, but not as a sector. I think there will not be any kind of panic for that.
So talking about where price increase is concerned, the growth, do you think that kind of a growth that the Indian pharma companies have been witnessing in the US market, that is expected to come to an end? And with the upcoming US elections as well, will that become an overhang for the sector as a whole?
To a certain extent, you were right, because in last 2 years or say many quarters it has happened is that the actual growth in the revenue number has come from the 1 or 2 or 3 product, and some of the products are benefited because of price rise. So though what we have seen is that the major trend of revenue growth has come from the new approvals. So if you can keep your plant out of the 483 logjam, definitely you will receive approval and you will get to a certain extent benefit out of that. But I think that pool of generics will be drying down soon. So by 2018-19, if you have a lot of dependence on these kind of approvals, then definitely it is not the stock to buy. So my point is that that overall company has been benefited in many quarters, but that may not be the trend as a whole for the whole industry. And what we have seen is that approval is a main growth driver for last 2-3 years, and going forward this kind of price rise is happening, definitely they will take center stage rather than the new approval, because that pool, as I said, of generics availability is shrinking every day.
talking about where generics are concerned, if you see the global generic market, that has seen a significant derating in calendar year 2016 if you talk from a YTD perspective. Vis-a-vis, if you see the Indian generic portfolio, they are almost trading at a record premium of almost 138% over the global generics. Now, if you see the extent of premium available currently to the Indian generics, given the deteriorating dynamics of the US market, do you think this kind of a premium is questionable? Because majority of the growth again comes from the US market, where we are not seeing that kind of a growth in the US generic portfolio.
True. As an industry, from our house, we really don't support any kind of premium valuation for pharma. We value the company on say maximum 18 to 20, 21 times, and I don't think those kind of lofty valuations earlier of say 25, 27, and sometimes it was 30 times 1 year forward. Are really sustainable given the kind of growth and the kind of the risk and opportunities they have. So risk return ratio definitely not favorable for this kind of lofty valuation. So I think slowly and gradually you will see that this valuation is coming down. Already we have seen those 23, 25, 27 times has come down to the level of 18, not 18, 20, 21, 22. And I think going forward it will come down further.
All right, we're going to leave it at that. Surajit Pal from Prabhudas Lilladher, thank you so much for joining in with a detailed dissection of what you make of what the possible outcome of the presidential election can be, and company-specific views as